Welcome to the Affirm Life Daily podcast. I'm your host, Cynthia Mitchell of Affirm Life Daily. Please visit affirmlifedaily.com for more information to look at previous podcasts, affirmations, poetry, resources, all the good things in the world. We are here for truth and freedom. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Tonight is a very special podcast. I have an amazing guest with me, first time guest on the show, and she is going to be speaking some knowledge, dropping some gems, and helping us heal, not just as individuals, but as families. So, with no further ado, I would like to introduce Dr. Tawanda Spaulding-Jolly. Hey!
Hello, Cynthia. How are
Hello.
you?
I am wonderful. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me on as a guest.
Yes.
I'm super
Yes.
excited to just dive in.
Yes, we are going to dive in absolutely because I want to take up all this hour, diving
Yes.
deep into these topics.
Yes.
But I do want to give a brief introduction.
Okay.
So, Dr. Tawanda Spaulding-Jolly is a doctoral level human services professional, educator, and spiritual practitioner with over 25 years of experience spanning mental health, child advocacy, program development, and nonprofit leadership. Her career has been dedicated to supporting children, adolescents, and families impacted by trauma, with specialized expertise in child sexual abuse, commercial sexual exploitation, and complex family systems. She is the founder of Ascending Solutions LLC and Shine Institute for Soul Intelligence. She has expanded her work beyond traditional clinical frameworks to integrate psychology, spiritual science, and ancient wisdom traditions. Her work as a teacher, trainer, and mentor is centered on soul realignment, energetic sovereignty, and guiding individuals that awaken their innate divine intelligence. Ooh, I love that. She is also a certified Reiki master teacher, ordained metaphysician, intuitive medium, and energy medicine practitioner. Her work reflects a unique synthesis of clinical expertise and spiritual mastery. She serves as a guide for those seeking deeper alignment, embodying the role of a spiritual architect and way shower. She finna show us
Ooh,
the ways, y'all. Come
my
on now. Come on now.
God.
No, but that is so impressive, and I'm so honored to have you on.
Thank
So, as
you.
you said, we don't want to waste no time up in
Let's
here. So,
girl,
we
let's
are
let's
going
get
to dive
take me through
into
that.
these
Okay.
into these questions.
All
So, is there
right.
anything that you want to say before we get started as part of, introducing yourself to the audience? And also tell
Well,
tell them where they can find you. Please tell them that.
okay, so you all can find me. I'm on Instagram. My business page is on Instagram and Facebook at ascendingssolutionsllc.com. You can also visit my website at www.ascendingssolutionsllc.com. And if you want to know a little bit more about who I am on a more personal side, where I talk all about my about spirituality and my spiritual experiences, then you can follow me on TikTok at Black Girl in the Spirit World. Okay. So I do have two separate, because I like to keep my stuff professional, but at the same time, let people know what's going on because I'm experiencing
Yes.
it.
Yes, that part. Yes, absolutely. Follow her, check her out. Please, if you're watching right now, give a like, give comments. We'd love to hear what you all have to say. So, we are going to dive into the
Yep.
first question. What constitutes family dysfunction? And I wanted to start with that question for a
Mhm.
very specific reason because I think, well, I know many of
Mhm.
us base dysfunction on what we consider normal, and that is
Right.
two different things. There is so much dysfunction that is normal in day-to-day life, in day-to-day families, in day-to-day society.
Right.
Just because it's normal and it's happening all around us or it's happening
Mhm.
to us every day does not mean it's not dysfunctional.
Correct.
So I really wanted you to kind of explain to people what is this family dysfunction? How would you describe that?
So, first and foremost, I want to just say that every family is dysfunctional in some shape, form, or fashion. Okay. So
Great.
this whole term or notion about what's normal and what's not, these are human man-made words, man-made level labels. But at the end of the day, there is some dysfunctionality. Dysfunctionality is just another word for being imperfect. And our families are imperfect because we as individuals are imperfect beings. So this what dysfunctionality comes in, what constitutes family dysfunction is when there is a system that struggles with creating balance within that family system. And when you hear me say, like when we talk about like a core system, right? Like a core family system, it could be the parents. So it could be the mom, the dad, and the children, or whomever is the one, raising that's within that family system, because we have different generations within
Yeah.
that family system too, where you may have a grandparent, the parents, and then the children, staying all under one roof. So that in itself is what constitutes as a family system, right? But then when we talk about the dysfunctionality, we begin to really look at how that older generation has a lot of their traumas, their issues, and things that they brought on and passed on to the next generation. But to them, it didn't seem like it was a big deal or a big issue, because either the trauma wasn't talked about, or it was something that everyone kept on hush hush, and then that stuff just gets passed on, and before you know it, now we done passed it down to the millennials or Gen Z, and now they are the ones that's now speaking out about, we're not going to take this, I experienced this, that, and the third. And I'm Gen X, and I know you mentioned, you're Gen X as well. And our generation kind of was caught in between, because our parents were the baby boomers, where they were not taught to, that what they didn't have, didn't have a safe space to express what was going on. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what constitutes a family system. And when we start to look at how dysfunctionality bleeds into the actual family system.
Yeah, and that's a good explanation. And it's funny that you bring that up, about the different generations, because like I was telling you when we were talking before the show, and I was saying, like, there was so much stuff in my family, that was so, no one talked about, and things that I felt like, okay, these are really serious events. Like, why aren't they being talked about? Why aren't, they being addressed? And then, but it was funny because my youngest daughter said the same thing to me. She's like, it's too much stuff happening that, you're not talking about. And I was like, dang, I'm doing it too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even realize the extent to which you're doing it until someone points it out. I'm like, man, she's right. Because, it's so easy to carry shame, embarrassment. You don't want to make other people look bad, by telling on them and, things like that. So you don't want to cause trouble in the family, and you end up, being quiet too, and doing the same thing and repeating that pattern and that cycle, and not even realizing, because I'm thinking like, oh, I'm way more open than they were. Yeah, which I am, but still
to a certain extent.
Only to a certain extent. I still had so much of a ways to go, and I still am something that I'm working on. But yeah, it was funny that you said that, because that is a big thing, and I think that keeps so many of us in, these cycles and these ruts, because we don't want to kind of acknowledge.
I would say we don't want to acknowledge, but also sometimes we don't have the understanding that we don't feel safe to acknowledge it.
Yeah,
so that part, I want to reference how, years ago when I was working with the sexual abuse victims, child sexual abuse victims, and I could not tell you how many, of course, the mothers, the parents would bring their children in, to get therapy for the sexual trauma that they experienced. But I can't tell you how many parents that disclose to me as the therapist for the very first time about their own child sexual trauma. They had never shared this with anybody, and so when we look at the generational, and there has been times where I have had the child, the parent, and the grandparent all was abused by the same man, which was
my gosh,
the grandfather. You get what I'm saying? So
that's
when we talk about,
wow.
Sometimes some people have that fight, that strength, that grit to speak up, and sometimes you don't. And no one should feel ashamed or embarrassed or bad for disclosing or not disclosing. But at the end of the day, you do what you can, because the good news is there is somebody in the family that's gonna come and spill the beans, baby. Okay, and that allows everything to kind of really come out in the forefront. But that's just step one, because once it's all out, then what do? We need to really have these really intricate and hard conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. They're needed, and I like how when even the way you describe dysfunction, just that it just means not being perfect. The
Hmm.
system is not functioning perfectly, optimally.
Right.
In real life, no system does. There's
None.
always something wrong. There's it may be something little, it may be something huge, but
Right.
perfection is just an ideal. It's an
That's it.
idea, like not a real
That's it.
reality. So I like the way you describe that because it
Mhm.
helps to reduce that stigma that we
Yes.
associate with dysfunction.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And that kind of leads into my next question for you. So,
Mhm.
in your opinion, how does addiction play out in dysfunctional family systems? Like, what role do you see that like consistently playing, or how does it impact the families?
Oh, so when we talk about addiction and how it plays out, this is what I speak on when I talk about codependency. Because if anybody knows what true codependency is, all it is a relationship addiction. And it's not necessarily about a romantic relationship addiction. It can be an addiction with, it can be, you can be codependent with a family member, your parents, a sibling, a friend, a platonic friend, definitely with your romantic partner, even coworkers. Sometimes you know how people they say like, oh, that's my work wife or my work husband. A lot of
Yeah,
times that's where a lot of that codependency come in, as well, when we talk about some of the roles that we play, some of that trauma bonding that plays a role into that addiction. So the addiction across the board, when we look at this dysfunctional family systems, a lot of times it stems from families, older generational family systems, family parents who have issues with depression, mental health issues, who have other addictions, and it just opens the door for more addiction. So, say for example, even codependency that term was coined back in the 1940s, and it came from alcoholism. So, when working with families and the individual who was actually the alcoholic, but it wasn't just the issues with the alcoholic, it was the family system, because the family was also enabling that behavior. So when we look at the addiction, we are looking at how we as family members enable the foolishness that goes on in our family
true.
systems. Okay, that is how it begins to play itself out in a dysfunctional family. But you first have to be aware that it's even happening. Just like how you mentioned when you was like your daughter brought some stuff up, like, well, mom, you still, and you just like, well, dang, I thought I was doing good, them children sure to call you out, won't they?
Yes,
My
they
God.
will. Yes,
Especially
they
them adult
will.
children, child, they'll call you out quick. You be like, well, damn, I did the best that I could. You wait till you have children.
Real quick, real quick. So, can you expand on what some of these enabling behaviors look like? Because I think that is a huge thing. I know I've many times been an enabler and
Mm-hmm.
have been enabled,
Mm-hmm.
both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, can you elaborate a little bit? Because sometimes I think people legit are not even recognizing that they're enabling
Right.
certain
Right. So
behaviors.
I'm gonna give up like two examples. So the first one, I want to just kind of set up the visual of when we look at how the family system play out. Think of it like a triangle. Okay.
Okay.
So for example, if you got at the bottom of, there's the line, and there's point A, point B, and then there's the tip of the triangle, which is point C. So if you have point A, which is mom, point B, which is dad, and then point C, which is the child. If mom and dad has friction going on within their relationship, right? This then one of them will pull in point C, which is the child. Okay. Now the child, now because the child is a neutral person, and this child could be age 5, 6, it don't matter. This is how children learn how to adapt to their environment. And this is a lot of times where the dysfunctionality begins, and then enabling begins without us even consciously understanding what is actually happening. Okay. So say for example, the child is closer to mom, right? So the child sees how dad is treating mom. The child then kind of sides a little bit more with mom, going to go check in with her because she's crying, she's doing this. So now that's creating this friction between the child, which is C, and then the dad. So now this relationship is already distorted, right? and rigid in some shape, form, or fashion. But this relationship with the mom and the child is what we call in family systems enmeshed. Okay, so that enmeshed is also moves into that enabling, because now the child begins, as the child gets older, because a lot of times the parents are not going to divorce, even though the relationship is very dysfunctional in a sense to where it's unhealthy, it's toxic. But
Yeah.
sometimes we just push through because that's what we either saw our own parents do, or we said, I want my child to grow up in a home in a two-parent home, something that I didn't have. So I'm going to, by any means necessary, I'm going to stay within this family system when they are harming the situation versus helping the situation. So when we look at that enabling, say the child now, is 5-6 years down the line, the child is now a teenager. That child has learned, because a lot of this is all learned behavior. Okay, that the individual grows up to think that this is part of their personality, but it's not. It's just learned behaviors. So now this teenage child now has learned, like, okay, I need to tap in, with my mother. I need to always kind of like check in with her. And then it's like the roles kind of reverse. So as this teenage child, the child begins to emotionally take care of the mom, something that is typically supposed to be a role that bounces off and on of the two adult parents, right? The husband and the wife, because they're responsible for themselves, right? Emotionally, and each other, but then they bring the child in. So this is how a lot of that dysfunctionality begins to, I just wanted to paint the picture of how that dysfunctionality is created within a system, and then how that enabling plays a role as well.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Yeah, because if you think about, pretty much until you start doing that shadow work and that inner work and really self-reflecting and being brutally honest with yourself about
Yep.
yourself,
Yep.
you're stuck in, you just repeat. You just repeat. You watch, rinse, repeat. The same cycles that you've seen, that you've lived through, things that just became normalized to you. Even when you can see it in someone else, like, oh, what are you doing with that fool? Or da 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 da. Why are you letting someone treat you like that? But then you'll go off and do like the exact same thing or worse, because you don't see it the same as when looking at someone else.
I wanted to give another example, because remember I said I had two examples of the in enabling. I wanted to give another example because, and this is something, even as clinicians, I'm retired marriage and family therapist now, but even when I was a, full-on therapist, you clinicians come across a lot of clients that will look to their therapists, as like they're kind of like motherly, or like caretaker role. And if clinicians are not really careful, it just creates a very toxic type environment. So I could just recall, times where I began to notice, some of my clients that, felt like I can tell they wanted me to, enable them.
They wanted you to co-sign on something you weren't going to co-sign.
No, that ain't what because that's what friends do. And unfortunately, even friends that are not aware that they're enablers, So for example, if you got a girlfriend that's constantly calling you about, somebody that she's dating, and like, girl, I'm gonna leave him. I'm so sick of him. He keep doing this and doing that and doing it. Oh, it's the same thing, different story, like once or twice a month. And instead of that friend being assertive and say, hey, I understand, I want to be here to support you as a friend, but if you're not going to take, the suggestions, the things that I'm suggesting, maybe start therapy, maybe talk to a professional or something like that, I can't keep listening, to that. But what do we do as friends? We keep, girl, you child, I don't know, child. And it's the same thing. We, month in, month out, and before you know it, 2-3 years down the line, they still talking about the same issue. So I just want to give another example, a very common example of how we unconsciously enable some of these choices and that we don't even really align with. You know what I'm saying? And then we begin to create resentment for these people, for our friends, because now you mad, like you get off the phone like, man, she Still acting, calling me about this nigga. Well, say
Right.
something. Say
Yeah.
something. Because guess what? When you speak up, then that person is not, I can promise you, they're going to be less open to continue talking about those issues, which is great because now you created a boundary. Because
Yeah.
now we move into boundaries. But when we don't have boundaries, we just let people do whatever, just flipping and flopping all over the place.
Yeah. No, yeah. The boundaries are huge. And what
Uh,
you were saying is huge because sometimes we're not even necessarily, and I know I can definitely say from experience, I did not want to keep complaining to people about certain things
mhm.
because I know I was not in a place where I was going to change it.
Got
So
you.
it wasn't even like I was necessarily hiding it,
Mhm.
but why am I going to keep complaining to people and telling people sob stories if I know within myself I'm
Yep.
not ready to walk away. I'm not ready to change things.
Mm.
I'm not ready to do the work I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I'm not, why am I keep bothering you with this? It
But
don't
but
make no
see that
sense. It don't
awareness.
make no sense.
That's the awareness, and which is the first step. The first step is having to be aware. Like
Yes.
you said, I knew what was going on. I'm just not ready to make the change. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna
No.
ride this thing out. And guess what? Whoever I pull along, sometimes we pull people along unconsciously, right?
Yes.
Because we're not
Right.
intended to dump on people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it just sometimes happens because we do need people to share things
Oh
with
yeah.
and to use as
Yes.
a sounding board and to help us kind of figure stuff out as well. So that doesn't mean
Right.
go into an isolation and don't
Right.
share anything with anybody. But we do have to be very, very mindful about our own shit.
Yeah, absolutely. We are our first line of defense. We got to
Yep.
care enough about ourselves to do what's
Yes.
necessary when we see we're in a toxic relationship. Because, like you said, every relationship is dysfunctional, but then you have different levels. You got, relationships that are dangerous, that are
Right.
toxic, that,
Right.
have no business being in if you're in any way in a loving state towards yourself
But
and
if
even
you
towards, no,
but
go
no,
ahead.
you're right. You're right. But if you've never experienced anything healthy, toxicity is all you know. That
Yeah.
was your learned behavior.
Yeah.
You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is what I mean by when people really need to seek professional help, because you have to be able to differentiate the difference between like, feeling like you can be able to walk away and not understanding why you keep being pulled back,
Yes.
because you're
Yeah.
you're you're desiring something that is logical, is fantasy, is not
Yes.
going to happen because that
Yeah.
was you've seen everything,
Yeah.
in a everything that you was taught and learned was taught from a toxic standpoint or
Yeah.
perception. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree with you completely. And yeah, you have to come to a state of, like you said, first awareness and then readiness to
Yes.
really, because you're going to go through some pain.
Oh,
You're
you
going to
better
have to look
believe
at
it.
a lot of things about yourself that you may not want to look at.
Yep.
And so that's all going to come with that, making that step to say, okay, I'm breaking these patterns, these cycles, I'm breaking this relationship, breaking these things, because you're also breaking yourself open,
That's right.
your soul
And
open, your heart open. You're breaking all of that open,
you're
the
right.
pain open.
And before you continue to crack open like wider, we began to blank. And this is where when we pass the awareness phase and we're in that phase of acknowledgement. I'll talk about awareness, acknowledgement, and action, the 3 A's. So when you move into that acknowledgement, this is where you're sitting with yourself, like, okay, like I'm sitting with, I'm coming, all the realizations of everything that I've experienced in my life. Then we start blaming our mamas, our daddies. If she would have never met him, I wouldn't be in this situation. We start to blame everybody else. And that's not the blame. This is not about blaming. However, that's enough. That blaming part is just a step to get you to understand that it wasn't your parents' fault either. They simply did the best that they could with what was taught to them and what was given to them. So when we start to look at our parents as individuals versus they were solely like fully, and even though they are to a certain extent responsible for us, but because I look at it from a spiritual and energetic level, we all still chose to come into this damn form, and we chose our
Yeah.
family. Okay,
Yeah.
so don't stop. Don't give me. That's another.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
That's a
episode,
whole nother
which I would
episode.
love to have with you. I would love to have that with you. But no, I agree. I'm not with the whole, blame the world for
Right,
my problems, blame my mommy and daddy for every issue I have. It's not to say that they didn't contribute to
right,
things that are wrong, but they also contributed to so much that's right. And so much
exactly,
that's good about me and powerful
exactly.
about me and amazing about me. So it's like like you said, you have to look at them as people
Yep,
that went through their own set of trauma.
yep.
So
Probably sometimes
you
worse
can't.
than us.
Oh, I'm sure it was far worse. Even just the few things I know about their life, far worse.
Yeah,
So it's
definitely.
like you have to take all those things into account. And I'm definitely not down with the living a life of victimhood, because that
Right.
disempowers you. Like, how
It
can I
does.
move forward and become a stronger person if I just walk around thinking of myself as a victim of everyone around me all day long? Where
Yeah.
can I go from there? Nowhere.
You're right.
Nowhere.
And unfortunately, there are so many people that walk around with a victim mentality and don't even realize that they're operating out of a victim mentality.
Yep.
Like they don't recognize it. It's always the woe is me. Well, if this wouldn't have happened, then such and such wouldn't have said that. Then and I get it, because there are phases that we have to go through in order for us to really see ourselves for who we truly are. Because all it takes is one person in a system to
Yeah.
change. And when that
Yeah.
one person in the system changes, it forces the entire system to shift.
I'm so glad you brought that up. And I do have two comments here
Mhm.
from Sarah.
Okay.
Hey, Sarah. Our parents were babies raising babies, which is very true. Very,
Hmm.
very true. And she said toxic spaces breed familiarity.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that can be a safe space. So that's, yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is where
What's
we
familiar
begin
feels
to
super,
to
super safe.
normalize. So this is how we begin to talk about, and there's a link with that, with what Sarah mentioned, also with trauma bonding. So when we find ourselves having conversations with other people, whether it's male, female, it don't matter, that has experienced something that we've experienced, it does become a safe space. But if you realize that everybody that's in that space keep talking about the same thing and no one is excelling, evolving, or ascending,
Yeah.
then it then also becomes a toxic space
Yep.
eventually, and that stuff is passed on. I mean, I
Yep.
see it. I see it a lot in communities. Like sister circles and communities and things like that. Where anytime we have women getting together, we're naturally going to talk about some of our traumas. Which is
Yeah. And our
fine.
feelings and all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. But then sometimes it can get very heavy, where even when somebody is suggesting certain things, nobody ain't trying to listen. Nobody ain't trying to take in that feedback. And
They
that's
just want to talk about the
that's
trauma.
it. That's it. And guess what? Go
Yep.
find you a
Sarah
therapist.
said it's a trap. That is a
Right.
trap.
Right. Honey, I will,
Trap.
you know what? I'm out. I already see where this is
Yeah.
going. I'm gonna
Yeah.
talk to y'all later.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna move us to our next question
Okay.
here. But yeah, that was on point. That was on point. So we talked kind of about some of the dynamics of dysfunction and where it's
Mhm.
coming from and enabling. So let's talk about how families can recover from some of these unhealthy dynamics. What are some things that families can do and that
Oh.
individuals can do?
Yeah, well, first of all, it starts with the individual. Okay, so just like how I mentioned a few minutes ago, where all it takes is one person to change within a family system. Okay, and even if you're no longer in, so remember how at the beginning I talked about a system could be like the parents and the children, or the grandparents, the children, whoever you grew up in a home with. And a lot of times, those children become adults, they move out, and they create their own what we call subsystems. Or your relationship with your siblings can be a subsystem. Your relationship with your cousins can be a subsystem, right? But
Yeah.
overall, in order to recover from these unhealthy dynamics, it happens with the individual. You cannot heal a system before you heal the individual within the system. Because it's like I mentioned, all it takes is one. And when one person begins to shift and change, it doesn't mean that everybody is going to jump on board, because majority of the people within the system is going to feel extremely uncomfortable. But that's a good thing, because it's shaking shit up. It's
Yeah.
almost like
Yeah.
you pulling the weeds You know, when you're gardening, you're pulling the weeds out the ground, you know, you're moving things around, and in the system itself, because it's been chilling, it's been doing its thing, it don't like that.
No.
You know,
Like, what are you doing? Why are you messing with stuff?
Right. Why
We're
you
good.
messing
We're
with me?
fine in this.
Right.
As Sarah said, people want to live in the muck. When you used to living in the muck, you're like, why
You
are
better
you
say
in
it.
the muck? Like,
You better say
I
it.
like it here.
I'm trying to get to this clear water. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get some clarity over here.
You get a lot of resistance.
Exactly. Resistance is on every end. And so for that one person who is that way shower, that trailblazer for that, because it's always one. Okay. It is always one within your own family system or subsystem that is going to push the envelope. Now, sometimes they'll push it and then just back off and completely avoid the family. So that means they done pushed to where they just gave up, like, I'm done. And then sometimes they're going to keep at it, keep pushing, which is a good thing. And it's not to create friction. Well, technically it is, but they're not doing it on purpose. They're doing it because they don't align with the dysfunctionality that has been going on for generations. You know, they're here to break those generational patterns.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember being so like pushy about certain things with my parents. I'm like, no, like so yeah, I remember just pushing back on so many things because I'm like, this just don't feel right. It don't feel healthy. It don't feel safe. It don't feel all these things. And it didn't necessarily change things, especially not quickly.
Right.
But at least it put it on their radar.
Yes.
Like, I'm noticing these things. You know what I'm saying? These things need some work and some help and some attention. So I think it's important to have that person in the family. And, you know, it can, like you said, it can also cause breaks.
It does.
You know, especially if you have boundaries. Like, it broke me. I had two sisters, one that was killed and one that's still alive, but that really broke my boundaries with my sister that's, still here, because it was like, she just like, no, she wasn't having no boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how I'm gonna operate, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because some people will try to change because they value their relationship with you, and other people are they will walk away. They will walk away before they will change even a little bit to respect.
And here's the thing: if a family member or even close friends or whoever that you're trying to assert boundaries with, if they choose to walk away, that's fine. That just means that they're not ready to receive on the space that you're in. That's completely okay. Because one thing about creating change in a system is you are going to get a lot of resistance. You are going to get, who they think they are. You know, he or she think they this and that. You think you better. You think, so what we call that in family systems theory, individuation or being differentiated. So it's like you can be aware of what's going on within a family, but not be of it, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to be a part of it. You can still be an observer, right? And then pick and choose to come in, in a more healthier stance versus, because unfortunately, how many times, and think about this, I want for who's ever listening, think about when you say, for example, if you don't live in the hometown or where you grew up in, or, when you go back home, whether you're going back home for holiday time or whatever, everybody in a family system has a role to play. Each and every one of us. At some point, all of us have a very specific role, because the role is what allows the system to operate in the first place. Okay. So some roles may be a scapegoat. Some roles may be the individual child. Some roles may be the one that that gets the brunt, of everything. Like, everyone plays a role. Okay. Some roles, some kids are going to be the ones where they were the favorites. You get what I'm saying? And then the ones where they didn't get no attention, excuse me, at all, which aligns with the invisible child. But in those different roles, we have to, we definitely have to understand that as you are moving through, that's why I say you have to know what's going on within yourself and how things affected you, because you can be growing up in the same house as your siblings, and y'all have had very different experiences.
Yeah, very true.
Same mama, same daddy, same household, same school, same everything, but the experience was completely different. So one person can't take away like, oh, why you keep saying that? Mama didn't do that. Yeah, mama may not have treated you that way, but mama treated me that way. You get what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so even with that, have understanding that you have, once you begin to know and have the awareness and acknowledge, like, this is what's happening to me, I'm aware of it, and I only have control over my responses, how I show up to my family and friends, how I respond to them, how I whether I let them get under my skin or not, because we allow them to do that.
Yeah, this is true. And if that goes to a comment Sarah had put up, indeed, we can't control others, only ourselves.
You are
And
absolutely right.
T King 19 put up a comment as well. He said, I love that alignment piece. Sometimes it's not even intentional. Sometimes we are just so different from our family members and don't even know it.
Mm.
Yeah. That's very true.
But
And Sarah said,
technically, we do
Sarah said
know
she,
it. The ones who
yeah,
are
yeah,
different, we do know it.
yeah,
I'm glad that this person made this comment, because we can know innately, like deep down in our soul, that we're different, but we will still play the role. We will
yeah,
still play the role to keep the dysfunctionality. This is what we call the homeostasis, to keep that homeostasis, that balance, that dysfunctional balance, right? But keep
yeah,
that balance flowing within the system. So how many times have you come back and people always seeing you as, whether you're the jokester or the one, and every time you come home, they expecting this from you, right?
yeah. You
And when
gotta
you
be
not
that
getting
role.
right, and when you're not getting, they're like, well, what's wrong with you? Like, why you quiet? Dang, I can't. I do have a chill side. So that's that was what I was getting at, where when I talked about the roles that we actually play, and that some way, somehow, we could be going off as full-fledged adults, living our lives, but the second we get back home or with a group of friends that we may have grew up with, we transform into that very person who they always seen us as.
Yep.
But that's when you know that you're not
Yeah.
living your true, authentic self.
Self. Yep. I used to do that all the time. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna
Me
fall into
too.
this role because it's gonna make them happy, and I'm
Yep.
happy to see them, and I want to
Yep.
love on them, and I don't
Oh,
want it to be all friction. So let me just do this.
ooh,
And
child.
after a while, it's like, you know what? I just can't. I gotta be me.
Yep.
On every time, and
Yep.
sometimes that is me. Sometimes I feel like that, but
Yeah.
sometimes I don't, and
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person right now. I just,
That's right.
So yeah, you gotta get to be yourself no matter what, and that's big. And I mean, I still will
Mhm.
fall into that sometimes, even now, but not
Me
nearly
too.
like how I used to. Not
Right.
nearly like how I would just do
Right.
it repetitively. Like, no, this is very
So do
draining,
you
and I don't
feel
feel like
you've
me.
been able to assert boundaries?
Oh yeah, I'm big on boundaries now. Like, so yeah, I'm like, I don't be playing about that. And
Good.
they ain't crazy boundaries, but I do, you got to be respectful.
That's
You
right.
can't, if I tell you something about 3 times over and over, don't
Yes.
do that. Don't do that. Now
That's
I've
right.
been clear now.
Yeah.
Now our relationship is about to
That,
change
you are absolutely right.
because I done
That was
told
the
you
next.
multiple times.
That's right. That's the next step when we talk about, because there's layers to the recovery
Yeah.
process. So I talked about
Yes.
how we have to first be aware and acknowledge that this is happening to us, and
Yes.
looking at the big picture, looking at it
Yes.
from a bird's eye view, not tunnel vision, because we're really good with looking at these little pieces, and then we start to take things personal. We got to look at it from a bird's eye view. So the
Yes.
awareness is there, but then when we move into understanding boundaries and what that looks like, for learning how to assert boundaries, because we know that a lot of people know the definition of what a boundary is,
Right.
but we struggle. Oh, we struggle. I was
Yeah.
having a conversation with my daughter the other day, talking about like, why do people, like, when you ask them are they going to do this, that they ain't going to do something no more, but they don't want to say. They like, oh, I don't know, girl. You ain't, if you gonna do it or not. Like, just
Yeah.
why? Why? But it just made me think, like, why do people struggle with saying no.
No, because no, and yet I've learned that no is a complete sentence.
It
No, I
is.
can't do that. Like,
Two
if I
letters.
want to
Two
explain, I
letters in a
can, but
period.
that's not even required that I do explain.
Exactly.
It depends on my
Exactly.
relation with you and what you're asking me. I may very well want to explain, but
Right.
if I don't have
I'm
to,
not
that's
obligated.
not wrong if I don't.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And had a couple more comments here.
Okay.
Sarah said, I was always the black sheep. When I grew up and grew teeth and built boundaries, my family rejected the change. They
Mm.
wanted nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she also said, I wasn't sure what we said right before this, but she said, that's a great way to think about it. I don't relate to anyone in my family. That actually makes me feel better about it.
Yeah. Sarah, listen, you
And
on point.
she said, you're great. She was like, she's
Oh,
great.
thank
Wow,
you.
sis, she's great.
Thank
Don't want to
you.
leave that out.
Listen, Sarah, you are on point. Everything that happened, listen, that's exactly what's going to happen. For anybody that is thinking, that's listening, that is thinking about, like, I really don't like or align with the way that my family system continues to operate. And in order to make a change, you got to be that change. You have to expect that there's going to be some friction. Not from every family member, because you're going to have some that kind of, like, I see where you're going. I see what you're trying to do, but they may not always come on board. And that's okay, because everyone comes on their own time. But you have to be prepared and ready for the friction and for the resistance, because it is very real. And ultimately, you're not doing this for, because we did everything else for the family. This when you create and sustain those boundaries, you're doing this for you.
Yes, and that
That's
is so
different.
important when you can really start prioritizing yourself from an authentic place, knowing that you
Exactly.
deserve this care.
That's
Not
right.
just because you read it in a book
Right.
or
Thank
you
you.
you watch podcasts and they're like,
Right.
you should care for yourself. You believe it in your heart that you deserve to be cared for by other people and from your own
That's
self.
right.
So
And that
that's
is
a
what it means to embody it.
yeah.
That is
Yes.
full embodiment when it lives, because don't get me started. I can go.
No,
We got to come
preach.
back on again, okay?
Preach.
Because honey, I can go on and on.
No,
Okay, when
no.
we start to talk about the embodiment, that's when it begins to affect the nervous system. Listen, y'all check me out on my Instagram page, because I got a lot of little
Yes.
mini. I'm doing a lot of different mini series on the dysfunctional roles in the family system. I got one coming up talking about soul versus spirit, and how it fully aligns with the science of psychology, and what it looks like within a regular family system. So yeah, check me out.
Yeah, absolutely check her out for sure. And all her links will be I'll add her links. There's one link on there now, but I'll add all her other links
Mhm.
to the description. And if you are enjoying this, please give a like as well. She's dropping some gems. I already had told y'all because I had conversated with her before. I already knew she was gonna be dropping gems. So is there anything else you want to kind of talk about with the family recovery before we go on to the next question?
No, I mean, that just to sum it up, we talked about the awareness, we talked about the acknowledgement, and then the third A was the action,
I
which is
like that. The three A's. The
yeah, the
three
three
A's. I like
A's,
that.
and then
Yeah.
learning, and that action is actually creating the boundary, like establishing, creating it, and then asserting it, and sustaining it,
Yeah.
because some
That
people,
can be hard too, sustaining it, because people will like pull you back in or guilt you oh, you froze on me, but maybe you'll pop back in. Otherwise, you can, if you don't unfreeze, you can click out and click back in, and I can let you back in. But yeah, that the sustaining it can be so hard because it's like you get that resistance, you get to
okay,
feel up there. Okay, you're back,
well,
and
there
you
we
get to
go.
yeah,
I
you
see that
yeah,
the
you
devil is a lie. The
Yep,
devil is a
that's
lie.
right. That's right. No, you're right back because yeah, I was
Okay,
just
no,
saying
you were
like
saying that can be hard. Go ahead.
it can be hard because
Yeah.
it's like people make you feel so guilty. And you feel responsible for a lot, especially like you were saying, like when you come up in certain environments and you start becoming the parent and you start becoming and even though you're the child, and it's like you
Yep.
just want to take care of everyone around you because
Yep.
that's what you're used to. And then
People
you don't want to people
pleasers.
pleaser. You
Yep.
don't want to disappoint anyone. You don't want to let anyone down. So you'll put up your boundary for a minute. Then next thing you know, you right back to doing those same
The
things
same
because you
thing.
felt
Yep.
too bad
Yeah.
about it to not do it.
Yeah. So there is so just understanding that there's levels of boundaries. You have to first be ready to create and establish them. Then the second level is asserting them, and then the third one is sustaining.
Them.
Okay, and understanding that boundaries do need to be readjusted. Okay, so you always want to start off, small and then tighten as you go. You don't want to come out strong all the time. You know what I'm saying? Or at all, because then if you come too strong, then you find yourself having to light up the load. Because people, it's just not. It's not as receptive. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's 3 levels to that boundary. So that's what I have in terms of recovery from unhealthy.
I love it. It's just very helpful information, very helpful and good just to know, like Sarah was saying, you don't be wanting to feel like, is this just me? Am I just tripping?
Sarah, it ain't just you. Girl, we out here, okay? Fight for our lives, okay?
Right.
And the families. Okay? Yeah. Just know you're doing a good deed, Sarah, and everybody that's like Sarah. You're doing a good deed, honey.
Absolutely, because we need more people like that, not less. So so the final question is, what role does spirituality play in the healing process?
Ooh, child. Spirituality plays a huge role in the healing process. And first of all, understanding that spirituality is not the same as religion. Okay, it is the individual's own beliefs of how they even come about, and that looks different for each and every individual, first and foremost. But I want to talk a little bit about the spirit and the soul and how that connects to the family dynamics and the healing process as a whole. Because when we look at the spirit is what we is our consciousness, is our energy, is everything that is it's our energetic fingerprint, if you will, right? And then the soul are the actual lives that we live, whether it be on this earth or other earths, other planets, or whatever the case may be. And we pick up everything that we experience that was traumatic. That stuff is carried over on a soul level. So a lot of times what we feel, and when we talk about ancestry work, okay, doing ancestry work, or when we look at the family dynamics, we're not just clearing stuff out from the people that's in our family that's living. We're clearing stuff out from the family systems throughout the bloodline as a whole. And because when we're healing, it starts with us understanding who we are, but that thing goes, I'm talking about all the way out from the front and to the back. Okay, generations forward and generations is clearing stuff out, generations behind. You get what I'm saying? And what that looks like is being able to understand that the soul is what the experiences the connection in this physical body, what I like to call a meat suit. Okay, our meat costume, but from what we've experienced in many other lifetimes, different traumas, we take that on. That stuff, if we haven't healed from any of that, this is why a lot of times we come back and reincarnate, so we can balance out either that karma or learn the lessons that we need to learn. And just like we've always been hearing, like Earth is truly like it's a school. We're here to learn. So when we talk about how that spirituality plays a role in the healing process, is really knowing and understanding who you are as a spiritual being. That is the first, because nobody else could tell you who you are. Nobody. No, let me tell you. Oh, I get
feeling it in the spirit.
Nobody can tell you who you are. Nobody. And unfortunately, we have a fear of what other people are going to think about us, where this is where we began to live unauthentic lives, right? But once we say, bunk it, I don't care, I'm finna be me, and you step into your true authenticity, that begins the healing process. That's the healing process within itself.
Yeah. That is so true. And there's a couple more comments from Soul. He said, indeed, he said, you are on fire. and Sarah concurs this, you are on fire, because this is truth. And it's such a fundamental truth. Like there's nowhere to really grow from, like you said, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know that we are spirit in human form, not vice versa.
Right.
We are eternal spirit in
That's
human form
right.
and not vice versa.
You better
So that
believe it.
part always has to be the foundation of anything
Yeah.
that we do. And like you were saying with religion, that externalizes our experience with God
Correct.
in most cases. So then we're getting even further away
Oh, so far away.
from our own soul,
So far
from
away.
knowing our own soul, from getting in tune with our own spirit.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you so much. That is so crucial. That point is so crucial.
Yeah, and how we have, and this is what I talk about in my Black Girl in the Spirit World on my TikTok page, all about all things spirituality. But we have different bodies. We have our mental body, we have an emotional body, we have our physical body, we have our spiritual body, and we have our etheric body, which is like our aura, like our energy body, right? So we have all these different bodies that is that this physical, well, our etheric body is outside of this physical body, but everything else is encompassed within this physical body. So like we have to understand that our spirit is the light. It is the energy. It is the consciousness. That's why when we walk into a room and you feel something is off, that really ain't your gut. Okay. That's the energy that's signaling your gut for you to be like, abort mission, like,
Right. Yes.
caution, like something is up for us. That's our discernment coming in, or our intuitiveness coming in for us to really listen, pay attention, particularly when we are around, no matter who we're around, family, friends, work places. I talk a lot about, like when I go into the schools and things, how the energy sometimes can be so dense. I feel so much, and I have to come home and ground and transmute, that energy. Or sometimes when I'm around family members or just people in general that are holding or carrying a lot of heavy, dense energy that they don't even know that they're carrying, but because I'm very sensitive to it, I can feel it. And I'm naturally transmuting that directly from them, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
So again, like, and this doesn't make us people like me bigger or better than anybody. It's just when you have acknowledged and you know who you are and the power that came directly from source itself, that you understand that's inside of you, that is where the healing process begins.
Yes.
Period. That's where it starts. It doesn't start anywhere else. It ain't nothing you can read in a damn book. It's in you.
Yep, it's in you. It's lived learning. You learn it through living it. You learn it through being it. You learn it through acknowledging it.
That's right.
Because it's always been there and it'll always be there.
That's right.
When you acknowledge it, it changes the entire game. It changes your entire life.
It
and I'm
does.
glad you brought up the etheric body, because a lot of people, we don't think about that, like how far that expands.
Oh, it can go out to about between 5 to 6 feet now.
I mean, you are literally touching people far before you reach them.
Before you even walk in the room.
Yes.
So, which is why that saying, people be like, girl, I felt you before you walked. Oh, okay. Because you felt that energy coming on in. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few more comments.
Okay.
Let me scroll up. I think I missed one. Sarah said they tried to tell me who I was. LOL. That did not work out for them. She said complex PTSD is an ocean to drown in.
Baby.
And yes, and Soul said we are conditioned to mask up so much that we lost the ability to identify with authentic self when it matters.
Yep.
And he said, when you know yourself, you know your role and abide in your lane. That part.
That's right. So, first of all, Sarah, you my kind of girl, okay?
Sarah is the truth. I'm trying to tell you.
Get down, okay? And Solo, that's speaking some truth too.
Yeah,
now.
he the truth too. They I'm telling you,
I love
y'all would have some great conversations. So has a podcast too, because and so does Sarah. I mean, these are people that are like really involved in the truth and freedom movement. They're putting their all out here, and it does cost you sometimes. People don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear nothing about it. They especially don't want to hear when you say, we are the change we're waiting for.
Right.
Hold up. I thought the government was the change we was waiting for.
It's you.
No, it ain't.
You. Yeah.
It's you.
Just like Michael say, looking at start with the man in the mirror, okay?
Yeah, and it comes at a cost when you're willing to speak the truth, especially in times like you said, when it matters. To know yourself when it matters, and speak the truth when it matters. It can come with a very heavy price tag.
It does.
And I have a lot of respect for people that will day in, day out stick to that, stay
Yeah.
in their integrity and stay in the truth. And that was one of the reasons I wanted you to come on the pod. Your energy right away. I was like, oh, boom, boom. Already knew. Just,
And
from
the
a few
crazy
minutes
part
behind
is,
you.
I just remember being young, and I've always been like, this big, bold, energy coming forth. And sometimes it would be too much. I was told like, oh, like it's just too much. It's too much. So I would shrink. But you finna get all this. And guess what? If you can't take it, then get on out the kitchen. Okay.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
this is all
Absolutely.
me, baby, and I'm taking up every space, every room because I know what I came here on this earth to do. I know
Yes.
exactly what I came
Yes.
here on this earth to do, and that the clinical part, the scientific part about psychology was just that first stage. Even though I had been working in this field for over 2 decades, that was
Yes.
just the scientific part. That was the human part that I needed to come in and understand. And now
Yes.
I'm here to bridge that spiritual piece along with the
Yes.
psychology piece. And
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Well, you are doing amazing things,
Thank
and you
you.
have just brilliant insight, and I just love it because right now I think there's just so much trauma and so much suffering right
Mhm.
now. And we talked a little bit about this beforehand, with so many people waking up and recognizing like what's really going on. They are in a state of panic, of shock, of disbelief, of
Mhm.
deep grief.
Oh yes.
Because when you wake up one day and you feel like you believed, your whole life you believed only lies
Oh,
and
you find out it was
falsehoods,
all
and
lies.
you spent your whole life working towards nothing
Yeah.
because everything's being taken away right before
Yep.
your eyes, and
Yep.
it's like, wow, what do I do? Where do I go from here?
Mhm.
And so people like you are so needed, and so
Thank
I'm
you.
very grateful for you coming on and talking about these things and being so authentically you, and not
Thank you.
sugarcoating nothing and not trying to clean up
Mhm.
nothing. Bringing it as it is,
Mhm.
as we need to hear it, as we need
Mhm.
to embody.
Right.
So, is there any more you'd like to say about spirituality in this healing process?
So I just wanted to share that if anyone is interested in some of the work or services that I offer in the Shine Institute for Soul Intelligence, we have 4 different training pillars. The first one is the Reclamation Method training pillar that focuses all on codependency, dysfunctional family systems, and healthy and unhealthy attachments. So but we're combining and putting the spin with the spirituality along with that piece as well. The second training pillar is the conscious healing training pillar, and all of the training pillars have 3 levels. So level 1, you will learn 5 different core meditations, which is how I set up the coping skills mechanism. Level 2 is where it's all shadow work. It's 13 weeks of shadow work, because everybody that want to talk about, oh, just do this, just meditate, just ground, just do this. But if you have not worked through your shadow stuff, and guess what? Shadow work ain't gonna come up just one time in your life, honey. Okay, it's going to
Forever.
be many
It's
different.
forever.
It's right, many different situations where you're gonna have to deal with this shadow work.
Yes.
So that's part of the second pillar, and then the last one on that one is you would come in person, because those are virtual. You would come in person, and we do chakra, color, and sound healing alignment. So everything that you've been able to move through, pull out, process, we now realigning your energy centers. The third training pillar is if anyone is ever interested in becoming an energy healer or a Reiki practitioner, I am a Reiki master teacher. I teach levels 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I got to get on that with you.
Come on, child. Come on. I got a class coming up, Reiki 1 class
I
coming
got
up
to
in
get on that with
August.
you.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And then the last one is one of my favorite, all of them are my favorites because I created the curriculums. But the last one is Awakening the Inner Oracle. And this is specifically for people who have spiritual gifts, but they do not know what to do with them. because they haven't fully deconstructed from religion. They was told certain things, oh, that's demonic, this and that. So I teach people how to step fully into their spiritual sovereignty.
Yes, spiritual sovereignty. That is a key. That's one of my favorite terms now. That's a key
Yes.
word for me.
Yes.
Sovereignty, sovereignty,
Yes.
sovereignty. We have to step into our sovereignty.
That's right.
Um, there are a few more comments that I will just read off for
Okay.
you if there's anything that you want to share on those, because we're coming up on an hour.
Okay.
Um, Sarah said you might find the information about the Virtue Vivian man interesting. I've never heard of that. She said it's a way to explain this stuff scientifically, the microverse and the macroverse.
That sounds like that's a social word.
Yeah.
Micro, meso, macro.
Yes.
What was the name of it? Vivian who?
Virtue is Vit. Well, let me just spell it.
Okay.
Vitruvian man.
Okay.
Vitruvivi. I don't know. I don't want to mispronounce
I
that
got
no
it.
more
I'll look it
times.
up. Mm-hmm.
And then Soul said we are connected before we meet. Absolutely. That
Oh yeah.
energy, because even the way that he and I met, just so synchroniciously, just on the internet.
That's
He live in a
right.
whole other state. Is this, those connections that are, meant to be energetically, they're gonna come.
It's that soul resonance.
Yeah, absolutely. And so also said people are in a catch-22. We need training to discern the conditioning, and we need healing to endure the training. We are traumatized energetically our whole lives and before, and then parentheses, ancestral trauma.
Oh yeah.
And that is very true. It can be hard because many times we know we want to start healing and
Mm-hmm.
breaking free, but it's so painful of a process, and we have
It
not built
is.
up our spiritual strength yet. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you do feel caught in a catch-22 because trying to heal is breaking you down, and then you go back into the patterns. So because you're so broken down and you feel so
Oh,
overwhelmed, and then you just get caught in that cycle.
you speaking to
Especially
the
if you don't
choir,
have a good
honey.
support system.
Listen, you speaking to the choir because there have been many days I done fuss source out so bad. Like come and get me now because I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm
That part.
SOS. I'm done because this is too
That
much.
part.
I don't
Yeah.
believe I came here on this earth to do this, Lord.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to rearrange my. I want to do an addendum to my contract because this ain't it.
See some receipts. I want to see some receipts.
I don't believe I
You
signed
got
up
me
for
a
this.
sign up for this. I think you playing games.
Right. But the miracles that I see that happen right before my eyes when I'm doing healing sessions, when I'm channeling, it's so amazing. It's so amazing. So for those who are not ready for like that training type class, like stuff, I also offer coaching packages as well. I do past life regressions. I do energy healings. I do readings, soul life path readings. So yeah, and you can also book a free consultation if you go to my website at ascendingsolutionsllc.com.
Yes. And tell them again where they can find you on TikTok.
So TikTok, I am Black Girl in a Spirit World. Okay,
Okay.
Black Girl in a Spirit World. I
So
talk
y'all
about
check out both. I'm
yes.
telling you, I highly recommend it. It's great information on there. Very, very obviously, she's extremely spiritually attuned, extremely knowledgeable. So, we have to when we find our the people that are help to guide us here,
Mhm.
we got to take them up on the offer. Especially, when
Okay.
they're putting themselves out there in this way, so accessible. We need to really take them up on the offer. Again, that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you here, because I know you have so much to offer,
Yeah,
so many, and it's that's where we are right now.
I
And
love it.
so I just want to give you guys a quick heads up too about the next upcoming podcast is The World Built on Lies. It's a return guest, Oren Sheil Kiri, and that'll be Thursday. Oh my gosh, that is not the right day, clearly. It's May, that should say May 21st. Y'all know I got a million things going on and I'm so sorry, but it's this 21st of May.
Gotcha.
And it, as always, I do encourage you to follow all of my social media at Affirm Life Daily. Please visit the website, subscribe to the newsletter at affirmlifedaily.com. Your participation
You got it.
and support and encouragement and your shares and your likes and your views, all these things help to spread the message about truth, freedom, healing, sovereignty, all the things that we say we want to see in the world. Only we can create them, and we have to create them together. We are one, we are a collective.
That's
So
right.
when you support someone in this mission, in this work, you're helping yourself too. So,
I know
you know,
that's right.
let's support each other. Let's help each other. I do still, even though things be looking so bleak some days, I'm like, you know what? F all of y'all. F the world. You know what? Some days I ain't gonna lie, I wake up like that, but then I remember. And then I remember my daughters. And
Yeah.
I remember my beautiful grandson
Yeah. Yeah.
and my beautiful granddaughter and all the wonderful people, all my friends and my family, and the people that are suffering.
That's right. Just
There's so
humanity
much
as a whole.
suffering.
Yeah, the human.
Yes.
Remember humanity and the love that we actually have. But I mean, we're also experiencing duality. And listen, we need to write down these topics of these next
Yes. All the
baby,
topics, all the
all the
topics.
topics. Okay.
Yes, yes, duality. I talk a lot about that in
I
previous
know.
podcasts. Polarity, duality, all those things, because
Mhm.
you know, you in this particular realm, that's
Yeah,
how we know, that's how
that's
we
right.
learn, that's how we experience, by
That's right.
experiencing that opposite.
You are absolutely
Um,
right.
but yeah, it's important work. It's important work.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, you know, if you're watching, if you've enjoyed this, please give a like. Please support her, visit her channel, subscribe to her newsletter as well. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining. Do you have any closing words for us, Dr.
Listen,
Spaulding-Jolly?
listen. I'm gonna need y'all, the ones who are listening, the ones who you know you're that one to disrupt. You're the disruptor in your family system. Please come and do what you came here to do. Disrupt the system because we got work to do and we are running out of time. And this ain't no fear mongering. I'm not
Nope.
saying. I'm just letting you know
Yep.
we got work to do individually and we got work to do collectively. But the collective work cannot get done until we individually are operating on a higher, balanced, aligned vibrational frequency. So those are my closing
Mm.
words.
Perfect way to end this. Yes, it's all about us healing ourselves so we can heal
Right.
the world.
That's right. The healer
All
heals
right.
thyself.
This was amazing. I got to
Thank
have you
you.
back
I
on.
love this.
This
I
was an
enjoyed this.
amazing,
I enjoyed
amazing
this.
conversation, and I got a lot of it. I feel very emotional right now. Like you really,
Oh,
yeah, I feel like you
come on,
really
release.
touched me in so many ways, and
Oh,
yeah, so I really appreciate this.
this you better
It's
I'm gonna let
a
spirit do his
special
thing
moment.
now. I'm gonna let
Yeah.
spirit do his thing, but no, it's a you're a special person. You are. I've watched several of your podcasts, and there was one that you was playing this recording that was from like 19 something of talking about the I don't know if it was the Lumina. I forgot what it was, and just the you was reading it. I think you was reading the script,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
and you got emotional, and as I'm listening, I got emotional. But that is exactly who we are
Yeah.
as beings of love. We are naturally beings of love and light. You know what I'm saying? But when
Yeah.
we descended down to this third dimensional realm that we call Earth, we had to also experience the opposite of
Yeah.
what love is.
Yeah. The polar opposite, boy,
The
I
polar
tell you.
opposite. So
Yeah.
I normalize your feelings. I validate you, and I see you, Cynthia. I truly do
Thank you.
see your soul. You hear me?
You. I appreciate this so much. This has been
You are so welcome.
a beautiful experience. I'll have so much to process tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
All right.
yes, yes, and we will get together soon.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you all who showed up tonight. Thank you for all your great comments, all the love, all the support. Appreciate you. So, I just want to tell everyone infinite grace, love, and gratitude, and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night.
Good night, everyone.